Welcome to another edition of Driven to Lead. I'm your host, Wayne Brannon. In this program, we explore the real stories from key executives to find the leadership lessons that drove their success, whether in good times or bad. We got a great program for you today, so let's make it happen. Very fortunate today to have as a special guest Linda Lovering from New Hampshire. Linda, so happy to have you on the program. You're the owner of the Lovering Auto Group. Is that right?
Yes, that's right. Myself and my husband both are the owners of the group.
Now, how many years have you had this business?
Well, we started in 1996, and then we opened our second store in 1998, and then we opened our third store in 2004.
Now, these stores are Volvo dealerships, all of them Volvo or different brands?
Yes, they're all Volvo.
Wow. Now, is Volvo especially popular in the Northeast? I think it might be.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It is. It's always been, popular in the Northeast.
What is what would you say Volvo is known for now? I mean, in the old days, Volvo was safety, right? There was they're boxy, but they're good. But now
Yeah.
they've become stylish and they've got all of the modern, kind of look and feel of a lot of other cars and SUVs. What would you say Volvo is known for? What do your customers come in looking for, would you say?
It's still safety.
Yeah, it's still safety.
It
Yeah.
still is. I mean, we are number one in safety. We're still
Yeah.
working on, we have so many different things coming out
Mm.
with the safety aspects that are just unbelievable.
Yeah,
You would never
Yeah,
have it.
Subaru's going after that lane a little bit too, but it hasn't taken it away from you.
No, they
Yeah,
haven't.
that's
Not
great.
yet.
I love it. Well, what a good lane to be in. I mean, we all want safety, right? I've had an opportunity to work around the world in many, many different countries, and it's amazing to me how customers are very much the same. I mean, obviously, every place is different, but they want to get from point A to point B with as much convenience and safety and style as they possibly can for what they can afford, and so it's a reality. And safety is a big part of it. And we got so many different active and passive safety systems on right now. And Volvo's always been at the forefront. Now, going back a little bit, I think you told me when we chatted before that you got in the car business at a really early age because your dad got in the car business.
Yes, my father was a management consultant, ended up consulting for a small car dealer in Nashua, New Hampshire called Andy's Motor Service in 1965. And
Oh,
Andy was retiring.
hmm.
And my father ended up buying it from him and then expanding into the automotive village in Nashua and ended up having 13 different franchises.
Wow. How long did he have that operation? A number of years, I guess.
He had it for almost 50 years.
Wow. So 1965. Well, you weren't
That's
born
right.
yet, but over
No,
that
that's
time.
not right. It was 50 years. I'm trying to think. He had it until, it was 6 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
So during that, my point was going to be during that time, you had a chance to, I guess, get involved in the business pretty early on, right?
Yes, I did. I started working there when I was 14. Yeah.
Amazing. And did you really want to be in the car business, or was it like a defining moment where you thought you'd do it, or it was handy, it was there, and your dad needed help, or
Yes. It was more that my dad needed help and,
yeah,
we had to work, when we were in
yeah,
high school,
right,
needed,
sure,
we needed to work. I needed a job and he needed help at the dealership.
yeah,
So I
right.
did everything. I did cashier receptioning. I swept the floors in the parts department, actually did parts inventories,
Good for
uh,
you. Good for
everything.
you. So was it that while you were doing all of those different jobs and getting to know the business a little bit, was there a defining moment that kind of clicked in your head that says, well, wait, this isn't just a job where I'm helping out my dad. I actually am interested in this business. I want to be a part of it.
Well, I think at that point in time, I wasn't actually that interested in it at all.
Okay.
I was interested in travel and actually ended up in the high tech industry when I got out of college
Okay.
and came back to the automotive industry. Gosh, after being out of business, period, for 12 years.
Right. So when you came back to it, was it because there was a good opportunity or was it because you wanted to come back to it?
It was because it was a great opportunity.
Okay.
My husband and I had the opportunity to purchase an existing Volvo dealer, actually an underperforming dealer in Concord, New Hampshire. And my husband actually had worked for my father for 12 years. That's why
Okay.
I decided to stay home with the children.
Yeah.
And then when this opportunity came, we just couldn't
Yeah.
pass it.
Yeah.
So
Too good to be passed up. So that was the first store that, and you still have that store. That's one of the three.
that was the first store.
Yeah, excellent. Fantastic.
Mhm.
So what was the biggest challenge? I mean, when you have an underperforming store and it's a great opportunity to buy it, because I guess you could get in, right, is what you meant by that. But it doesn't mean that customers are going to start showing up or that employees are all automatically going to start behaving well and you're going to be able to control the finances and et cetera, et cetera, right? So what was it that was the biggest challenge as you took on that responsibility?
Well, we had over the years, my husband had worked for my father in
Yeah.
my father's Volvo dealership in Nashua and had a very good relationship with Volvo. We both did. And I had known Volvo just from growing up with them. So the dealer that we bought the dealership from really wanted us to buy it and made it it just made it very easy for
Mhm.
us. He first he just wanted to sell it to us, then he wanted to be partners, then he said, "No, I don't want to be partners." And what happened was is we worked in the store both the beginning of it and it was selling 10 Volvos a month. And our first month open, we sold 100 Volvos the
Mhm.
very first month, which was huge.
Wow. I mean, that's incredible. What in the world did you do? Was it just a grand opening advertising and marketing push, you think, or people you
It
knew in
was
the
our
in the neighborhood
reputation.
or
It was the reputation, I think,
okay.
that followed us, and we were just known for Volvo. And
Hmm.
um,
But there was no brand. Was there any, or I should ask, was there any branding so that the public knew now that this was somehow affiliated with the chain of stores your dad had been in business with?
yes, well, what we did is we did quite a bit of marketing. A lot
Hmm.
of TV advertising back then was
Hmm.
really big, and radio. We really had a great relationship with one of the largest radio stations and the television station in the state, which really, really got the word out that we had left Nashua and we had opened our new dealership. And
Now, was this replacing the Volvo store where your husband had worked, or was this in addition to that?
no, it was in addition.
Okay.
He had actually split with my father's dealership. He did not want to participate in the Concord
Okay.
dealership, so we just went on our own.
And now he's since sold his group of dealerships.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I assume he's probably passed by now.
Yes, he
Okay.
has.
Okay. But
Yes.
that set of stores went one way, and then you started your own group now.
Yes, we did. Actually, we did because his dealership in Nashua, he was having issues with Volvo, had always not, they did not have a good business relationship. And that's how we ended up with the Nashua store. Well, not just because of that, he violated his dealer agreement with,
Okay.
and they terminated him and gave me the franchise.
Great. Now, it was called something different. Your Lovering Auto Group. Now, what was that store called, or what was that
Oh,
part?
his store was Volvo of Nashua.
Okay, so it was brand. It wasn't a name, your family name on his stores. It was just the
No.
the brand and the
Yes.
city. Okay, great. All right. So, even though that was Volvo of Nashua, when you started your store, the reputation of those stores and that store in Nashua came with you to the new location. That's interesting. So the community's aware of who owns these stores.
Yes.
Yeah, because had the Lovering name been the brand before you launched this first Volvo store you bought?
No, it hadn't, but
Uh-huh.
it's just that my husband, when he worked there for
Hmm.
those 12 years, had just established such a rapport with the customers and the
Nice.
community that when we opened the store in Concord, we had to name it Lovering Volvo. That way people would know.
Okay. Yeah, good. And how far is, guys, excuse my ignorance, how far is Concord from
35 miles.
Okay, so it's close enough that people would know and they would be within driving distance. So you brought a lot
Mhm.
of customers. Okay. So you brought a lot of customers from the former Volvo store, but then you ended up buying the other Volvo store or
Yes.
taking it over as
Yeah.
well. So you'd kind of poached your own customers, hadn't
We did, but it's funny because what happened in the Concord area
you? Yeah.
exploded up there in
Okay.
that market.
All right.
So it was great. So we ended up with that market, and then when we opened up Nashua, reopened it,
Yeah.
we had no facility. We had no facility there. We had no building. We had nothing when
Right.
we opened it. So we had to find the land, had to, build a building. Well, we had an existing building. A couple of years later, we built a new building. But yes, we ended up getting our old customers back from the Nashua area and more.
So this podcast focuses on the leadership learnings that all of us have over the years and the real world stories about conquering challenges or overcoming hurdles. We've already talked about a few things. I mean, you started out with a big set of challenges to launch new businesses and launch a new brand and all those things. But tell us, if you would, a story about one of the biggest challenges or one of the biggest wins that you had, and what maybe you learned about leading an operation. Because you and your husband were the president, the CEO, the owners of these businesses for a lot of years.
Yes, yes, we were. It's funny because my husband, was not involved with the auto business at all until he came to work for my father, but just was a great people person, and
Hmm.
he was negotiating government contracts. I was always a marketing person, and I always loved marketing, loved business. That's I went to college for it.
Right.
So I don't know when we did this, it was a do or die. We pretty much hawked everything except the children to open up the Concord store.
They
Because,
weren't worth much at that point. That was the problem.
no, but it was a lot to come up with at
Right.
that point for us.
Right.
So we had our life on the line and we had to
Right.
make it successful.
Yeah.
And
So you had it all out there. So there was no choice. There was no option to fail.
no,
Yeah.
no, there was no option. It was, do or die. And it was a 7 day a week thing. You're there seven
Mhm.
days a week doing
Right.
anything that has to be done.
Right.
Um, and I don't know, I think the biggest thing was just establishing relationships with people. It's all about the people. I mean,
Hmm.
still have our service manager at that store still works for us. He came with us
Really.
and he would do anything. He was great and he still is. So it is the relationships and the people.
And it's interesting because as this podcast continues to talk with people in various industries, various businesses, people and relationships, certainly is at the center of what every leader tells me about. So yeah, and there's different ways you build those relationships. There's different ways you treat people that drive you towards success. So tell me about what you do for your employees. What is it that they know about the Lovering Auto Group that makes them want to be a part of what you're doing?
Well, we've always been very inclusive with our employees. Um, making, I don't know, we'd always have our management meetings and so on a weekly or bi-weekly basis. And everybody knew that they could really talk with us. We were always accessible. We
Hmm.
weren't, we weren't removed from them whatsoever. I don't know. We really care. They know that we really care about them and their families. We have always been that way, and my children are the same way. My biggest thing with the automotive industry, when being brought up in it, it was always open 7 days a week, which I thought was terrible. And finally, we were one of the first auto dealers in the state to start closing on Sundays. And most of them have followed suit now, which
Hmm.
which you want to do for the families because people
Right.
cannot be working 7 days a week.
Yeah. And my daughter works in a Mercedes-Benz dealership now, and it's so nice that she has Sunday off. She can come to church, she sings in church and she has that, opportunity. So I agree with you. That's an important thing to do for the customers. You slipped something in that maybe our audience doesn't know about because you said it to me because I do know. Your children, a couple of them are now running the business. That's why you mentioned your children followed suit in the comments. So tell us about that transition, how you and your husband now have moved out of the business and transitioned your kids into operating the Lovering Auto Group.
All right. So my oldest son came to work for us about 20 years ago in sales, and um, he's the head of he's our sales operations manager.
Hmm.
And my youngest daughter came to work, I'd say 14 years ago for us. None of our children were allowed to work for us coming out of college. They all had to go and do their own
Smart.
thing. But three of the four have come back to work for us in the auto industry. Um, my youngest daughter, Vanessa, was a marketing major. She worked in Manhattan for some large marketing firms and basically worked in our marketing departments for the
Hmm.
dealerships. But she's just a great leader, great people person, great communication skills.
Hmm.
So she has taken over as the CEO as of 2018.
Okay.
And my oldest son, like I said, he's the head of sales operations. And I have my youngest son um, was also a business IT um, major in college. He worked on medical devices for 3 years. He's an international marketing manager for medical devices company, but also very heavy into IT. So he is our IT manager. And my son-in-law just came on in 2021 as our CFO, and
Okay.
he was in private equity. He was a Harvard Business School grad and wanted to get out of the golden cufflinks or gold,
Handcuffs. Yeah.
yes, handcuffs.
Yeah.
So they're doing a great job. They really are.
Hmm.
They
Good.
all work
Good.
together well. And
Real family affair.
yeah, it is.
Now I know you and your husband must go in for board meetings and oversight at some periodicity. When you do that, how do they receive your input when you're talking about some of the issues that they're reporting on or facing?
Actually, it's really well because they'll call us. That's what's really nice. They do call us because we don't want to get involved in the day to day at all. We want to leave that up to them, and they really just look to us for advice if there's something going on.
Good.
That
That's
they
that's
need our
fantastic.
advice, and it
Sounds like
works.
you got a competent crew there.
Yes, we have a really competent crew. When we went through different things like oh God, the CDK, that was one of the most recent.
Hmm. Perfect.
COVID,
Yeah.
we jumped in and helped with all of that. Um, I
Some
do most,
difficult times. I've been in the car business for 40 years or so, and uh, I always think that I've seen everything, but you never do. I mean, there's some cyclical patterns that you need to understand and play well, but there's always some new challenges will jump up and make it difficult. So yeah, I think some of the ones we've gone through in the last 5 or 6 years, some of the most difficult, and maybe we're moving into another era right now. I mean, certainly with the transition to EVs, and
yeah,
that being much slower and much more difficult. All the investment from the manufacturers in that. The affordability crisis that we're going through right now, where everything is really about how can people get in a vehicle that they can afford.
yeah,
The average price of vehicle just keeps going up every month, it seems like. We got a lot of incentives in the market right now, but there's a lot of uncertainty. And, even now it's difficult to push the business at the level we had been pushing it. Used cars are in short supply. You can't find good used cars. I mean, there's a lot of challenges that your businesses are facing. I know every day.
yeah, there are a lot of challenges. It is going to be another new experience, I think, what we're going to be
Yeah,
going
of
through and what we are going through. But I think we're going to get through it. I really think we're going to get through this
course.
well.
Yeah, I do too. I'm always an optimist. I
Good.
always look for the solutions, right? And
Mhm.
sometimes if you can pivot faster when things, when things are necessary to make some significant changes, you're going to be a step or two ahead of the competition. And
Yeah.
I always like to think that there's growth and potential and opportunity everywhere. But I mean, you hit on it. I mean, it comes up in just about every one of these conversations we have. But if you run a business because you're concerned about the people and you're sincerely concerned, because you mentioned caring for the people in a genuine way is one of the aspects of this, plus open communication, being inclusive, being available. If you run a business like that and you take care of your people and you touch lives like that along the way, it almost doesn't matter how successful you are. Yeah, you want to be successful. You want to do great things in the marketplace. But if you have those relationships and people believe in you and you believe in them, then I think a lot of the challenges we have as leaders really begin to take care of themselves because we pull together as a team, get all the strategic arrows lined up. So I admire that approach that you and your team have taken. Um, if we look to the future a little bit, what are the aspirations that you and your family have for growing the business? Are we looking to take 3 stores to 23 stores, or are we looking to maybe add one or two around the bend? What do you see in the future?
Well, I know we're always looking for new stores. So, not just Volvo, but other franchises as well. I know we do want to expand. Um, we've just been taking our time.
Hmm.
I think now we are, I don't know, it seems like we have things running the way we want them.
Hmm.
So now is the time for us to be looking. And there may be a lot of people, I think there's a lot of other people looking as well. But
Absolutely.
um, yes, we're always open and looking for new businesses.
Well, it
And
sounds like you put together a really dynamic and capable team. And one of the things that tells me you're ready is just the way you said it. You've got things running the way you want them to run. So I'm sure you found some synergies between your stores. You got some business processes that work, right? Everybody knows
yeah.
the plays. You've
Mhm.
communicated it out and you say, because you start thinking to yourself, well, if I have something that works, if I just take it and duplicate that over here, it will likely work again, right? And so I think that's the point where a lot of business leaders in the retail space and auto kind of get to that point saying, I can do things better, cheaper, faster than the next guy because we've done it. And yeah, there's certainly a lot of M&A going on in the dealership space, and there are a lot of big companies looking for great groups. So I expect you're going to be a target as much as you are an acquisition kind of player.
Yes, we are. I know
Yeah.
we're a target because we get I get emails every day.
Right. Right. Exactly.
But
Yeah.
I just the whole thing is, I mean, if we growing, we do want to grow,
Mhm.
but I don't want to lose the personal touch. I just see in the big groups, and I know of some, and I just see how when you lose that personal touch, you do, I don't know, it just changes things. I don't think you run as well. I just don't think you do. And
Well,
I've seen it too, that you don't run as well.
yeah. You know, in thinking about how you deliver a real caring experience, the personal touch you were just talking about, and to really satisfy customers in a unique way, it really is about all of the people who work for you because there's a lot of people in your organization who touch the customer, right? Who have an opportunity to smile and say hello or say please and thank you and make sure you listen to the customers and how do you make sure that each of the employees have that feeling, that same care, that same value of the customer? Because sometimes customers can be really nasty, and
Oh,
it's
yeah.
difficult not to just get up in their grill and say, "Leave me alone and get the heck out of here," right? I mean, it is difficult. I mean, we all have our emotions that we have to deal with, but how do you keep your employees in that mindset? Because it's so important to your brand and your business.
Yeah, it's true. You know, our employees, I mean, we're very, very picky about who we employ, and they do have to they're gonna have to blend with our with I don't know, our environment. I'm trying to think of the right word.
Mhm.
They they we are always looking for people that care about people. that care about the community, that want to get involved. We do a lot of different, we're involved with so much, so many of our communities because we go from the bottom of the state to towards the top of the state. So we're involved with all the nonprofits, so the employees get involved with all of these different things that we end up having going on
Good.
at the dealerships. So I think if you have people that want to make the world better working for you, I don't know, you're just going to have good people. I mean, that's really when we're hiring somebody, we want to make sure they're a good person.
That
And
means you have to sometimes exit people who aren't necessarily the right
oh
fit
yeah,
either. Yeah,
oh yeah, we have.
yeah,
We have gone through them, believe me. We have gone through them, but it's just important, that they buy into our mission, just
yeah.
how,
Getting them involved in the community events, I think, is a really good way to do it. If they see that the dealership is putting out a public image of being philanthropic and supporting the community, and then they get to be a part of that, it often creates a sense of pride about where they work in a really unique way. So good for you. Good for
yeah,
you.
it does. It really does.
Well, if we start to look forward, maybe to wrap up this conversation, Linda, if you looked back, and just thinking from a leadership perspective and what's worked for you and what's worked for your businesses, what advice would you give your younger self? Let's say you were in your 20s or early 30s and you had the road to go down that you've gone down yourself now. What advice would you give your younger self about being a better leader?
Well, I think that you would have to, what I think is that a lot of times, and I think it's women, I don't, I'm sure men do too, but I think women are too hard on themselves that you have to be able to do everything perfectly. So you got to realize that everything cannot be perfect and that you're going to make mistakes and you're going to fail at certain things. But I think not the more, well, the more mistakes you make, the more you learn. But you really have to take it easy on yourself a little bit and allow yourself to make a mistake along the way.
I think
And
that's
it'll
very,
make you a
very
better person.
wise. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's very wise. We are too hard on ourselves sometimes, especially those of us who really want to achieve badly, just
Yeah.
really want to be the best we can be. I do executive coaching, and even for very successful people I work with, what I find is that there's not enough structure around what it really means to be the best we can be in every aspect of our lives. And as we dig down and do some of the work to talk about the things that would be in the design of really an ideal version of me or of you, what I find is exactly what you just said, that we have internal doubts or limitations in ourselves, and even very confident people have some weak spots of confidence, I would call it, not necessarily doubt, but some self-doubt. And so to shore those up and say, like you just did, it's okay to make a mistake once in a while. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be open to learning from it and willing to put in the work to become an expert in your field and move forward with a sense of confidence that you can make it work the next time. And so I think that's really really very insightful. And I've had the great good fortune to work with a lot of women executives over the years, and always valued them highly on the teams that I ran when I was running big businesses. And there is a difference. I don't know, in our world today, I mean, sometimes we try to smear the differences a little bit more than I'm comfortable with, but I do say that there's a lot of extra pressure on women who are still in the minority in the executive ranks. Probably shouldn't be, but they are. And there's a pressure to succeed, like that you can't make a mistake, that it's not okay. But we all make mistakes. And I tell you what, I value the attitude, I value the drive to be successful, and I value the caring elements that you mentioned in their leadership approach. So all of that makes a lot of sense. Last question for you. You and I, let's say, are sitting in a beautiful log cabin on the porch, having a glass of our favorite beverage, sun setting, temperature's perfect, look perfect. We're looking through the woods and there's a beautiful lake in the distance, and we're talking about what we're most proud of in our life. Okay, so we have to let's fast forward 20 years. Okay, I'd be really old, but let's just assume we're still there. And so we say, okay, I ask you, what are you most proud of? What would you want to be remembered for, Linda?
Well, I'm most proud of I'm most proud of my family. I
Hmm.
really am because
Excellent.
I think I know we've done a good job, a really good job, and it shows, with the way they live their lives, and they're living their lives with the way I live my life. So about caring about people,
Hmm.
um, working hard, um, and um, getting involved with your community. I don't know, and I'm very, very proud of our businesses. I just think we've done a great job. I always just wanted to be the best. If, when we would open the dealership and open all the dealerships, I always wanted to be top with my CSI. I was crazy about it. And
Right.
we were, and we
Yeah.
still are. We're still, they're working on it. That's one thing that I'm always after them
Sure.
about. But it's just really, I don't know. I'm very, very proud of my family. I mean, they've done a good
That's
job, and I think we did.
that's a lot to be proud of, and I love the way that you extended it to the business because they're behaving the way you would hope they would behave
Yeah.
relative to the employees and relative to the community, relative to the business success. And
Yeah.
a lot of people are not like you and your husband, that you have this legacy of businesses to leave behind and a family that's connected to those businesses. So yeah, big congrats for that. And I think that's a great way to kind of wrap up this conversation. So thank you very, very much, Linda. It's been nice being with you, and I look forward to chatting with you again sometime.
Thank you very much. I
Okay.
really appreciate it. It was fun.
Well, that's it for today. Thanks for being with us. If you like our conversations, please feel free to hit the subscribe and like buttons. And if you'd like to make comments, ask questions, or even explore being a guest on this program, you can reach out to us via email. It's Wayne@greatroad.com. That's WAYNE at GR numeral 8 ROAD.com. And until next time, always remember, the high road leads to a better place.